Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with me.
And me.
Today we're going to be tackling online higher education.
A topic.
I know you're all interested in.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
We've got such a great mix of sources for this one.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
We've got excerpts from academic handbooks. We've got some really thought-provoking research articles, even snippets from some recent conference presentations.
Wow. It's going to be a fascinating journey.
It really is. Buckle up. What I think is really interesting is that these sources are from all over the world.
Yeah. We're going to be hearing from experts in both developed and developing countries.
Which gives us, I think, such a more comprehensive understanding of online learning as a whole.
For sure. It's a global phenomenon.
So you're here because online learning is, well, it's more than just a trend at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of.
The major force in higher education.
Yeah, I think.
And we want to give you the knowledge to really understand the impact of this shift.
Whether
Whether you're a student, an educator, or just someone who's intrigued by the future of learning.
Absolutely. It's the future.
It is.
It's fascinating to think about how quickly online learning has become so central to education,
Yeah.
It might feel like it's always been around.
Well,
but the shift has been really remarkably fast.
That's what's so interesting.
Yeah.
Is that, going back through these sources.
I was surprised to learn that.
We found that the roots of online learning actually go back way further
Than most people realize.
than I think most people realize.
And way before the internet even.
Yeah. Think about those correspondence courses
Oh, yeah. Using snail mail.
and educational programs broadcast on the radio and television.
Wow. That's
You
like
think?
the OG online learning.
Distance learning, that's what they call it.
Yeah. It paved the way for everything we see today.
But you're right.
Yeah.
It was the pandemic that really catapulted online learning into the mainstream.
I mean, overnight.
Overnight, institutions worldwide had to adapt.
Yeah. They had no choice.
And I think trial by fire.
Yeah. It was a real trial by fire. And that sudden shift really forced everyone to kind of like up their game.
Yeah, like big time.
In terms of the technology, the teaching methods.
Had to go.
Yeah, the whole approach to online learning.
Everything. Had to rethink it.
And, that's probably why a lot of you are tuning in today.
For sure.
Maybe you experienced this evolution firsthand.
As a student.
As a student, as an educator.
Yeah. Or even.
Or maybe you're just fascinated, like us, by the impact.
By the sheer impact.
On higher education as a whole.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, speaking of evolution, one of the sources we looked at makes this, I think, crucial distinction about blended learning.
Yeah.
It's more than just slapping together.
Like a Frankenstein.
Yeah, online and in-person elements.
Yeah, they got to be more thoughtful than that.
It's about creating a synergy.
Oh, I love that word.
Synergy.
Synergy.
This really cool learning experience.
So how would you, well, I think one expert put it best.
Oh, yeah.
Kelvin Thompson.
Kelvin, okay.
Defines blended learning as the strategic combination of online and face-to-face learning in which the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
That's a great...
So it's not just about like, here's the online, here's the in-person, good luck.
Yeah, no, it's about designing the experience so each element actually enhances the other.
Which is, honestly, a lot harder than it sounds.
Yeah, way harder.
Simply,
Like just putting a lecture online.
Yeah, or setting up a student chat forum.
Right.
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
We have to really think deeply about the learning experience itself.
That's where the insights from, like, Amy DeNoyelle's come in.
Oh, yeah, Amy DeNoyelle.
Or online discussions.
Spent, over a decade.
Wow, over a decade.
Researching online discussions.
Her work.
Yeah, her work reveals how complex it really is.
Always bet.
To create these, really engaging digital communities where students can connect and learn from each other.
Yeah, because it's almost like a paradox.
It is.
Online learning offers so much flexibility and access.
Yeah.
But you have to put in more effort.
Way more effort.
To make sure students are engaged.
Right. Not just passively absorbing information.
Right.
They have to be active participants.
Absolutely.
And here's where things get really interesting, I think.
Okay, lay it on me.
Our sources point out that online learning actually aligns really well.
Oh, interesting.
With the skills that are needed in today's workplace.
Oh, that makes sense.
Think about it.
Like what?
Tech proficiency.
Okay, yeah.
Collaboration, self-management.
Right.
Thriving in those remote environments.
Oh, that's huge.
These are all skills that you hone through online learning.
That you're already using, probably.
Probably already using, yeah.
So the World Economic Forum, they found that employer-provided online learning opportunities have gone up, fivefold.
Fivefold, that's huge.
This clearly, businesses are recognizing that
they need to upskill and reskill their workforce for this digital age.
makes sense.
So I want you to take a moment to reflect here.
Okay, yeah.
How has this shift toward online learning and this huge demand for digital skills
Impacted me.
impacted you? Yeah, how's it impacted your work, your career?
It's a good question.
It's a good question to think about
Yeah, that's
as we kind of move into some of the challenges
Oh, yeah, I was going to say.
and concerns.
It can't all be good.
It can't all be good.
There's got to be some downsides.
Right, because just because we have the technology,
Doesn't mean it's going to work.
right, doesn't guarantee success.
And our sources emphasize that.
Yeah, big time
They really stress the need for strong support services.
for those students.
Oh, yeah.
Administrative, technical,
All of it.
and especially pedagogical.
Yeah, you can't forget about the teaching side of things.
Yeah, we got to equip those instructors
Give them the training, the resources.
so they can create truly effective online learning experiences.
Right, because it is different.
It
It's
is.
different.
And then, there's this whole issue of academic integrity.
Yeah, that's a big one.
How do we ensure fairness, honesty?
When students are often learning unsupervised,
Yeah, how do we do that?
our sources mention things like anti-plagiarism software
Right.
and online proctoring.
As like
That's
potential solutions, but they come with their own challenges.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's a real balancing act.
Like, how much do you want to police?
Yeah.
It's tricky.
And another thing our sources bring up is student privacy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's a digital age. We can't forget that.
With all that data flying around.
Especially with the rise of data protection laws like GDPR in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
We have to think very carefully
Yeah.
about how student data is collected.
Yeah, and used.
And it used.
How it's used.
And then, going back to the pandemic,
Oh, yeah, those early days.
those early days, it was what Elizabeth Downs calls emergency remote teaching. Really highlighted the need for effective training
Yeah.
for educators in those online environments.
It was a steep learning curve for everyone.
It really was, but I think it led to,
Some great innovations.
some really cool innovations.
Especially with MOOCs.
Oh, speaking of
Yeah.
MOOCs, massive open online courses,
They've been a game changer, haven't they?
they really have.
I mean, they connect really well with this idea of personalized learning pathways,
Oh, totally.
which is a big theme coming out of all of our sources, by the
It
way.
is this move away from that. Like,
One size fits all.
one size fits all degree model.
Towards something that's much more customized.
Right, where students can tailor their learning to their own specific needs and goals.
It makes a lot of sense.
And our sources even mention things like alternative credentials, like digital badges.
Yeah, as a way to, like, showcase skills.
Exactly. So it's
Yeah.
not just about
A piece of paper.
that piece of paper anymore.
It's about what you can actually do. And I think this is where the work of Taskeen Adam comes in.
Yeah, Taskeen Adam.
She's done a lot of research on MOOCs, but specifically focusing on issues of justice and access within this new system.
Which raises some important questions, right?
Yeah, about who benefits from these new learning pathways and who might be left behind.
Yeah, it's a reminder that we need to be thinking about the broader societal impact
Of online learning. Yeah,
as it continues to evolve.
for sure.
And it all comes back to like this idea of the fundamental importance of instructional design.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can have the best, most brilliant content in the world.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter how good it is.
If it's not presented well,
If it's not presented effectively in that online environment, it's not going to resonate with learners.
yeah, they're not going to learn it.
They're not going to engage with it.
Right.
Our sources emphasize the need for these frameworks and models.
To guide the process.
Yeah, to guide the design process.
And to make sure that the online learning experience is engaging and effective.
And accessible, right, to all students.
Yes. Crucial.
They mention, for example, the ADI model,
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
which is like this 5-step process.
Like what?
You analyze, you design, you develop, you implement, and then you evaluate.
Ah,
This structured approach
helps ensure quality.
really helps to ensure quality in those online learning experiences.
It's like a roadmap.
It is.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have to talk about accessibility.
Oh, that's huge, especially for students with disabilities.
Yeah, one of our experts, Michael M. Grant, has done a ton of work in inclusive design.
Yeah, and his insights are invaluable
Absolutely.
for making these online environments that work for everyone.
It's not just about meeting those legal requirements,
Right. It's about creating an environment where everyone can learn and thrive.
which requires careful attention
to everything.
Yeah, everything.
Every aspect of the experience, even
Yeah.
something as basic as doing a needs analysis before you even design the course.
Oh, tell me about it.
Lorna Gonzalez has done a lot of research on that.
Yeah, understanding your learners. What are their needs?
What are their goals?
Their goals, their context.
Their context is so important.
It's foundational.
Yeah.
It sets the stage for creating something that really resonates.
Something they can connect with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once you have that understanding,
You can translate it into effective online teaching strategies,
right,
which honestly is a different skill set.
than traditional classroom teaching.
You have to adapt, and instructors need support.
They do, and one of our sources outlines this really cool framework called the MIST Online Teaching Strategies Framework.
What's MIST ST stand for?
It's all about motivating, interacting, supporting, and tailoring
Oh,
her
tailoring.
learning experience for that online environment.
So it's about recognizing that what works in a face-to-face setting,
Might not translate.
might not translate online.
And one area where that's especially true
What is it?
is facilitating online discussions.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Amy Denoyles, who we mentioned earlier,
Oh, yeah, the discussion guru.
she studied this extensively.
You need more than just posting a question and hoping for the best.
Yeah,
So
use
you
that.
carefully design prompts.
Yeah, clear
I
expectations
did moderation.
to spark those rich, engaging conversations that lead to real learning.
Right.
So using discussion rubrics, providing those thought-provoking prompts, and really encouraging that student-to-student interaction.
That's key.
It's about creating that virtual space where those aha moments can happen.
Oh, love it.
So we've been talking about online higher education,
Yeah.
kind of in a general sense.
Yeah, in general.
But it's so important to remember that the landscape varies so much
Across the globe.
across different regions of the world.
Yeah, not every country is the same.
Right. Our sources offer some, I think, really valuable global perspectives that highlight those variations.
Give me an example.
For example, the European Union is really actively promoting this digital transformation in higher ed
How are they doing that?
with initiatives like the European Universities Initiative, which aims to foster collaboration and innovation
Between institutions.
between institutions across Europe.
Makes sense.
Meanwhile, developing countries often face different hurdles.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Things like infrastructure limitations, access challenges, varying levels of digital literacy.
Right, so the benefits of online learning aren't always evenly distributed.
Right, it's not a perfect solution.
There are definitely challenges there.
Definitely challenges.
Yeah.
And even within a single region like Latin America, you see this huge variety of approaches and experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
Our sources highlight some researchers like Valenzuela and Yanez,
Okay.
who've really done some great work on the specific challenges and opportunities in that context.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that there's no one-size-fits-all solution for online learning.
Right.
What works amazingly well in one place might not be so effective somewhere else.
Exactly.
It's definitely something to consider as we look ahead at the future of online higher education.
The future, which seems to always be evolving.
Always.
Right. We're already seeing technologies like artificial intelligence and virtual reality becoming more prominent.
I mean, yeah, it seems like every day there's something new.
And our sources even suggest that these have the potential to, completely reshape the learning experience.
I can see that.
Just imagine,
Mhm.
totally different than what we have now.
And speaking of things changing,
Yeah.
remember those alternative credentials and personalized learning pathways?
Oh, yeah.
I think the traditional degree model is starting to face some serious competition.
I think you're right.
It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
It makes you wonder, what will higher education even look like in 10 or 20 years?
Will we even have those traditional campuses anymore?
Right.
I mean, who knows?
So many questions.
Big questions.
Big questions.
Yeah.
But before we get carried away with all these predictions,
Yeah.
how about we just take a step back and recap some of the key insights from this deep dive so far?
Sounds good. What have we learned?
I think the first and most obvious takeaway is that online learning is here to stay.
Yeah, definitely not going anywhere.
It's not a fad.
It's a fundamental shift.
In how we approach education, and the pandemic really just sped up a change that was already happening anyway.
Totally.
But as we've seen, it's not enough to just throw technology at the problem and hope for the best.
Yeah, you got to have a plan.
You really do.
You need that good instructional design, strong support for the students,
Right?
and a good understanding of how learning actually works in those online spaces,
Yeah. And of course, we can't forget about the ethical considerations,
which are super important.
equity, accessibility, privacy for all learners.
You can't just ignore those things.
Absolutely essential.
And I think it's important to remember that technology is always evolving.
Yeah,
So we need to be flexible and adapt as new things come along.
totally. It's an exciting time to be involved in this field.
It really is.
Speaking of exciting, how about we dig a little deeper into some of the strategies and techniques
Ooh,
Well,
yes, let's.
that our sources highlight for creating really effective online teaching?
Because in the end, it's all about the student experience.
Right. It's not about us, it's about them.
Exactly.
And I think one of the most important aspects of that experience is good communication.
Communication is key.
Clear, consistent communication.
So important in any learning environment.
In any learning environment, but especially online where you don't have those casual face-to-face interactions.
They'll lose something there.
Yeah, you do. You lose that personal connection.
Yeah.
Our sources really emphasize the need for establishing multiple channels of communication.
Like using different things.
Yeah, using things like announcements, emails, Q&A forums, all strategically,
Yeah.
to make sure the information and support is there and it's timely.
You got to meet students where they are.
It's exactly.
But it's not just about, like, how much you communicate. It's
Oh,
about
sure.
the quality, right?
Right.
Making sure your messages are clear and easy to understand, anticipating any confusion
You almost have to over-communicate a bit.
to make up for that lack of in-person cues.
Yeah, because you're not there to read the room.
Right, exactly.
One of our sources had a great suggestion. Creating a dedicated Q&A forum within the learning management system.
Ooh, that's smart.
Not only does this save the instructor's time,
Yeah.
but it also helps to foster that sense of community
Oh, that's great.
because students can jump in and help each other out.
Yeah, I like that.
It's all
Yeah.
about finding those little things, those little touches
Yeah.
that help make that online experience feel more human and more connected.
Because one of the biggest challenges, as we've seen,
Yes.
is that sense of isolation
Yeah.
that students can feel
Oh, absolutely.
when they're learning online.
When they're learning online, yeah.
Yeah, so we have to actively combat that.
And that's where those intentional strategies for engagement are so important.
Engagement.
It's not just about delivering the content.
Right.
You have to actively create opportunities for interaction,
Yeah.
collaboration.
Collaboration,
Yeah.
active learning. Yeah.
Active learning.
And I think using multimedia,
Yeah.
like video and audio, can be really effective.
It can, and our sources actually cite research
Yeah.
showing that multimedia can have a really positive impact on student learning and motivation.
It just makes things more interesting,
It does. It makes things more dynamic,
breaks up the monotony.
keeps students interested.
Dating all the time.
And it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Right.
Like, it can be simple. Like,
Yeah.
instructors can use simple tools to record short video lectures,
Okay.
create audio feedback on assignments, or even have the students create their own multimedia projects.
That's fun. Gets them involved.
Exactly. It's about being creative and finding ways to, like, break up the monotony of just text-based communication.
Yeah, mix it up.
Mix it up.
I like it.
And speaking of being creative,
Yeah.
our sources had some really interesting insights into online assessments.
Assessments.
Yeah, they're not just about trying to replicate those traditional pen and paper exams.
In a digital format.
In a digital format, right?
Right. I gotta think outside the box.
You have to rethink how assessment even works in this online space.
Yeah, what does that even look like?
Yeah, they talk about the importance of aligning assessments with the learning goals of the course,
Okay.
considering a wider range of assessment types.
So not just multiple choice?
Not just multiple choice.
Okay.
Providing opportunities for formative feedbacks throughout the learning process.
Oh, so it's not just about that big final exam at the end.
No, it's about moving away from that model
Okay.
and moving towards a more holistic and continuous approach to assessment.
I like that.
And technology can actually play a really positive role in this shift.
How so?
It allows for more personalized feedback.
Oh, that's good.
It allows for things like automated grading for certain types of assignments.
That would save me so much time.
Right. And it allows for the use of analytics
Oh, yeah, let it
to
go.
track student progress
Okay.
and identify any areas where they might need more support.
Okay, that's powerful stuff.
That's where the potential of learning analytics comes in.
Which, as you mentioned, a lot of our sources talk about.
Yes.
It's all about using data to understand student behavior, identify those learning patterns, and see how effective different teaching approaches are.
It can be an incredibly powerful tool for improving the quality of online learning.
But of course, with any data collection comes that responsibility
Big responsibility.
to manage that data responsibly and protect student privacy.
Absolutely.
It's a theme that runs throughout our research.
Yeah.
A reminder that we always have to prioritize those ethical considerations in this digital world.
We can't just forget about them.
Right. People's data is important.
And speaking of ethical considerations,
Yeah.
they get even more complex when we start talking about the potential of artificial intelligence in education,
Oh, yeah. AI. Everyone's talking about it.
which is like one of the hottest topics in education right now, and for good reason.
Yeah. It has the potential to, like, really change everything.
It really does.
Personalize the learning experience for each student. Automate all those routine tasks that take up so much time.
Right, and then even provide real-time feedback
Wow. And create those adaptive learning pathways that we were talking about.
that adjust to each student's needs and pace.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. Our sources highlight some examples
Oh, yeah. Like what?
of how AI is already being used in online education,
Okay.
like intelligent tutoring systems that provide personalized support,
Okay.
and even chatbots
Oh, chatbot.
that can answer student questions 24/7.
I mean, that would be amazing.
Right, that frees up the instructors to focus on other tasks.
Yeah, like actually teaching.
Yeah, it's exciting, but of course there are challenges and concerns.
Yeah, like what does this mean for the role of the instructor in the future?
Right.
And how do we make sure that AI is being used fairly?
That it's equitable. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you have algorithms making decisions about students' learning.
It's something we have to think carefully about. As AI gets more advanced and more integrated into the learning experience.
For sure.
And it's not just AI that we need to be considering.
There's more.
Oh, yeah.
What else is there?
There's this whole ecosystem of emerging technologies that are shaping the future of online learning.
Okay, like what?
Well, our sources mention virtual reality as another potential game changer.
VR.
VR, yeah.
Yeah, for learning.
Imagine students being able to fully immerse themselves in virtual environments,
Wow.
conduct simulated experiments,
Oh, that's cool.
experience things that would be impossible in a traditional classroom setting.
Yeah, like what?
Imagine studying history by virtually visiting ancient Rome,
Oh, that would be amazing.
or learning about anatomy by virtually dissecting a human body.
I mean, the possibilities are endless.
They really are.
But I'm guessing there are challenges with VR too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like what?
Well, our sources talk about the need for really strong infrastructure,
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
centralized equipment.
Yeah, you need the headsets and all that.
Yeah. And then also carefully designed learning experiences to make VR truly effective.
Right, it's not just about giving students a headset and saying, go learn.
No, you have to be really intentional about how you're using it.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it's probably expensive too.
Oh, it can be very expensive.
So not every school can afford that.
And that brings up the issue of access, right?
Right, not all students will have equal access to these cutting-edge technologies.
That's a challenge.
It is. It's something to think about.
But one thing I find really fascinating is that despite all these amazing advances in technology,
Yeah.
our sources constantly emphasize the importance of that human element in online learning.
Oh, yeah, that's so important.
They talk about the need for fostering a sense of connection,
Community.
building community,
Just poor.
creating a supportive environment where students feel motivated and engaged.
Yeah, you can't forget about the human side of things.
They talk about the need for a strong instructor presence, clear communication, opportunities for collaboration and interaction.
It's a good reminder that technology is just a tool.
It is.
The real magic happens when we use it to enhance human connection and learning.
Absolutely. So it seems like the future of online learning isn't really just about the technology itself.
No.
It's about how we use these incredible tools
Right.
to create these really engaging and effective and equitable learning experiences,
Right.
but keeping that essential human element front and center.
Absolutely. You can't forget about that.
And, speaking of that human element,
Yeah.
one of the best ways to really cultivate that in online learning is through, you guessed it,
What is it?
online discussions.
Those are always coming up.
They are.
It's so interesting how much emphasis is put on them
It
as
is.
being like key to effective online learning.
Yeah, I think it speaks to that fundamental human need for interaction.
Yeah.
That back and forth exchange of ideas that's so crucial for deep understanding.
Right. You can't just sit there and passively absorb information.
No, you got to be active.
You got to bounce ideas off other people.
And it's not as simple as just setting up a forum and letting students loose.
Oh, no, it's way more than that.
Amy Dunoyels, our online discussion guru,
Yeah.
she really highlights how successful online discussions require planning,
Careful planning.
facilitation, ongoing reflection.
You got to stay on top of it.
One of our sources had this great analogy.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
They compared facilitating an online discussion to conducting an orchestra.
Wow. I like
You
that.
have to be so familiar with the score.
The subject matter.
Right, but then you also need to be able to improvise,
Yeah, respond to the group.
guide the conversation in a way that allows everyone to contribute their own unique voice.
It's a balancing act for sure.
So all those strategies we've been talking about,
Like the room.
using those rubrics to set clear expectations,
The discussion prompts.
crafting those thought-provoking discussion prompts that encourage critical thinking.
Not just summarizing.
Right.
And then that active moderation piece,
Yes, making sure that everyone feels heard and respected.
creating a safe space.
Yes, where students feel comfortable taking those risks, challenging each other's ideas,
Getting into those good debates.
really digging deep.
Into those complex topics.
I was actually really surprised by how much research has been done in this area.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Our sources cite studies that have looked at everything,
Like what?
like the types of questions that elicit the most thoughtful responses,
Oh, interesting.
the ideal length of discussion threads to keep students engaged.
I mean, there's a whole science to it.
There really is.
Which just goes to show that these online discussions aren't just an afterthought.
No, not at all.
When they're done well, they're a really powerful tool.
For critical thinking, building community, deepening students' understanding.
But like you said, it takes intention and skill.
It does.
And, that brings us back to one of the core ideas of this whole deep dive,
Which is?
intentionality.
That's it.
It's not about just throwing technology at the problem.
No, it's
Yeah.
about using it intentionally and strategically.
To create those transformative learning experiences.
Jens, transformative is really the perfect word for it. Think about online learning, breaking down barriers, expanding access to education, connecting those learners from all over the globe.
I mean, it's a revolution in education.
It is.
And we're really just at the beginning.
We've covered so much in this deep dive.
Trends, challenges, opportunities, the ethics of it all.
It's so clear that the future of online learning is full of possibility.
But also full of challenges, right?
It makes you wonder,
Hmm.
what's next?
Yeah, what new technologies are coming?
How are we going to adapt?
How do we ensure equity and accessibility and privacy as the whole digital landscape changes?
I don't know if we have the answers, but it's exciting to think about.
It really
It's
is.
an exciting time to be part of this conversation.
For sure.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder.
Okay, I'm listening.
We've talked a lot about the technology, the platforms, the strategies,
All the nuts and bolts.
but at its heart, online learning is really about human connection.
Oh, I like that.
It's about that spark that happens when minds meet, when ideas are challenged, when perspectives are shared, no matter how far apart those minds might be physically.
That's beautifully put.
And to our listeners, I really encourage you to keep digging deeper, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions.
Keep learning.
Because the future of online learning is still being written.
Yeah.
And your voice, your insights, your experiences are all a part of shaping that future.
To get involved.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, and we hope you'll join us again soon for more explorations.
Of fascinating topics.
Until next time.